Hey guys, it's Megan. So in today's video, we're going to be doing the first in a series of videos where I show you guys how I'm making over my craft room. So here's what my craft room looked like before, and as you can see, it looks absolutely awful. It looks straight out of an episode of Hoarders. Like, it just looks terrible. 2018 was just a really bad year for me. I neglected a lot of things, including this channel. I was really sick, but I'm finally starting to get better and finally starting to get back to making videos again, and I really wanted a space that would inspire me and that I could find things easily and, just like wasn't a mess. And since I know I'm going to get questions about it, I really don't want to go into the specifics of like how I was sick, because I don't want to be seen as like complaining or something, or I don't want to become one of those YouTube channels where like that's their whole identity of their channel is just their illness and they talk about it all the time. That's not my thing. I just want to have fun and do some crafts. And in order to do that, I need a workspace, and this space is just it's not working right now because there's so much junk in here. So let's go ahead and clear it out. And here's just a quick look at the closet. This room used to be my sister and I's playroom when we were little, so that's why there are so many toys in here, and we actually got rid of a bunch of stuff a few years ago, but you probably couldn't tell because there's still so much crap in here. So the first thing that I decided to do was sort out my Perler beads, since I had a project in mind to use them for. And I never use these because I hate digging through the bucket to find the color that I want, so I decided to just bite the bullet and sort them. So I got this organizer for Christmas, and I just went through and sorted everything. I started out by putting all of the colors that were already sorted into the containers. And then it was time to sort through the big bucket of Perler beads. I had started this about a year ago and sorted out all of the purples and the greens, so now I'm just going ahead and sorting out all of the blues and the grays in a clear. And this just makes it a little bit easier because you're just looking for a few different colors and then you can just dump the rest in the bucket to worry about later. And once I had all of the blues sorted out, I went ahead and I sorted the rest of the Perler beads. And here's what it looked like once they were all sorted. I love this because now I can see all of the colors that I have, and it's really easy to make Perler bead creations now. Plus, when I run out of a color, I can just go to the store and buy a pack of them. And I decided to keep these containers because I figured I could use them to sort something later. Next, I decided to clean up the magazines that were all over the floor. I found this set of drawers that just had some random stuff in it, like old phones and stuff like that, so I just took everything out and then I used this to store the magazine clippings. And then I just went through all of the magazines and ripped out the pages that had an image that I wanted on them. And once all of the pages were ripped out, I went back through and cut out everything that I wanted off of them. And this was how I was storing all of the magazine clippings before, so I just went through everything and then I've sorted them into categories and then I put them in the drawers. And once all of that was taken care of, I went through everything on the table, and if it had a home, I put it away, and if it didn't, not gonna lie, I just put it on the floor. And then I went around and got all of the Christmas stuff so that I could put it up in the attic. And then I went through the area around my backdrop stand and I just cleared everything off, again putting things away if they had a home, and if they didn't, I kind of just put them outside the room. A really good idea for any room in your house is to have a box to store all of your extra electronic cords. I had so many of these cords, and some of them I didn't even know what they went to, so I just wrapped them up with rubber bands and I put them in this box. And then I picked everything up off of this old chair. And then I cleaned everything up off of this life-size horse, or at least it's life-size if you're like 5, but it's still pretty big, so I just went ahead and took everything off of there. And then I cleaned up the area in front of the cube shelves, and I had a lot of old stuff here, just like old school books and just a whole bunch of random stuff. If you ever wondered what I looked like in 6th grade, here it is. And then I went ahead and took down my backdrops, and I don't really use these very often, but I do still use them, and I want to get a different system to store my backdrops. I'm thinking like a ceiling or wall mounted system so that it takes up less floor space. So I just went ahead and I folded all the backdrops up, and then I took this out of there. And then I cleared off this shelf because I found another use for it, and so I just went ahead and cleaned everything up, and I had a bunch of contact paper stored on this shelf, so I decided to store it in this old trash can, and I think that this is a good way to store contact paper or vinyl because you can kind of see what you have. And I found a box to put all of my backdrops in for the time being. And then I sweeped up the area using this obnoxiously small broom, and I don't know why I didn't just vacuum this, but choices. And then I cleaned up the area next to that, which holds this cart, which I would not recommend. This cart, honestly, it is so unsturdy. I think I got it at Michael's. And then I just went ahead and then I cleaned up under the table and just did that. And naturally, the table had become a disaster again, so I went ahead and I cleaned that off. And then I moved the table over. And then I swept up under the table. And I ended up having a lot of paint on the floor, so I had to scrape that up using my Cricut scraper tool. These things are so useful. Even if you don't have a Cricut, just get the tool set. It's totally worth it just for this. And then I just cleaned off this dresser and I took it out of the room. And this dresser was super broken and the drawers were really hard to get into because they didn't open right, so I just decided to get rid of it. And of course I had to vacuum this area as well. And then I decided that I wanted to move this cube shelf over to where the dresser used to be, so I cleaned it out and then I just moved it. And then I just put all of the bins back in it. And I had a bunch of bins filled with just random things that they didn't have a home, so I went ahead and sorted through those, decided what I would keep and get rid of, and all of that fun stuff, and where I would put them. I used one of the bins that I emptied to store my costumes, and I ended up getting rid of a bunch of costumes, so they actually ended up all fitting in this one cube. And then I cleaned up everything from the floor so that I could go through the second set of cube shelves. And this bin of my clay tools I really did not want to go through. I was dreading it because I knew that some resin spilled in here and it smelled so bad and I don't know what spilled, so I ended up just getting rid of all of my resin. So I emptied out and obviously cleaned this entire shelf and then I put it on top of the other one. And again, I just went through a bunch of the bins to see if there was any way that I could store these things more efficiently. I had a bunch of silicone molds left over from when I used to make those squishies out of that liquid stuff, and I tied them up with rubber bands to save space. And I had another bin for all of my scrap foam. So I was storing my 3D pen and my needle felting supplies in two separate bins, and I knew that I could combine them to save space. So I used some more of those 3-drawer organizers, and I put needle felting in one, PLA plastic in another, and then ABS plastic in the third. And here's all the packaging that I ended up getting rid of, and by getting rid of this, I actually saved so much space. And then I packed up the American Girl dollhouse because obviously I don't use this anymore. I tried making stop motions once, and while they did pretty well, it just wasn't my thing, it's not what I'm passionate about. And all of this stuff is going into storage in case if I ever have kids, if they're girls. Alright, so I had to show you guys this. This is one of the coolest things that I ever made, and I made this probably in 4th or 5th grade. It's an American Girl doll radio that I made out of a Jello box and some foil and some construction paper. But what's cool about it is that it actually plays music. I taped a High School Musical keychain inside of it, and so when you press it, it will play music. And obviously I had to speed up the song so that I didn't get a copyright strike, but I still think that it's one of the coolest things that I ever made. And since I wanted to rearrange some furniture, I went ahead and I cleaned out the whole closet. I took everything out of the closet and I moved that shelf that used to be the American Girl house into the closet. I actually ended up taping 2 shelves together so that it would take advantage of the vertical space. I saw this idea on Pinterest and I thought that it was a really good idea, and it is to store your stuffed animals inside of a beanbag cover. And this is an old beanbag cover from a beanbag that I used to have, and the story behind this is that apparently cats really like to pee on beanbags, and the beanbag had a different cover on it at the time, so we just had to throw the whole thing out. So I still had this extra cover, and so I decided to put it to good use by putting the stuffed animals in there. Whoa. Alright, it's actually decently comfortable. I thought that this would not be comfortable at all, but, I'm pleasantly surprised. Although it sank down a lot. I found 2 buckets of Legos in there, so I decided to combine them to save space. I found this old piggy bank that I thought would be perfect to store receipts. And then I sorted through old CDs and combined them into these plastic cases to save space. Here's what the closet space looked like when I was finished with the left side of it. It's definitely a drastic difference from what it looked like before, and I love the added vertical storage. And once I had that shelf out of the way, I cleaned up the area around my sewing machine. And then I cleared off the windowsill, and I was so excited to find these doll eyes, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was a doll that didn't have a head or eyes, and so now she has eyes and I can put her eyes back in. I also found a bunch of bearings from when fidget spinners were a thing. And once that was done, I put this shelf where the dollhouse used to be. And this shelf actually used to be inside of the closet. I decided to use it as a place to store my Cricut. I decided that I wanted to have some file folders to hold some scrapbook paper. So I used some of the cardboard that used to be the walls of the dollhouse and cut out these 5 shapes. I placed these 3 pieces like this, and then I put duct tape all over the inside. I took the smallest piece and attached it right here, and I attached the last piece at the bottom. I cut a slit in the duct tape that was hanging off of the side, and then I folded it in like this. I covered the small front piece with more tape, and then I attached that to the inside. I covered the whole other side with duct tape, and then I folded that in as well. I covered the outside of the box with some more duct tape, this time in purple. And the last thing that I decided to do this week was just to pick all this crap up off the floor. So here's what the room looked like after 1 week of extreme cleaning. And while it is definitely not clean, it is way better than what it used to look like. I mean, the table still has a bunch of crap piled on it, and so does the horse, but you can see the floor, which is awesome. And obviously, I still need to organize that shelf over there, and the cube shelf still needs some work. But the room didn't get that messy in a day, or even a week, or like a month, or like 6 months. And with that being said, I'm definitely pleased with what I was able to get done in just a week. And even the closet, while it may not look super organized, it is way better than what it used to be, and I actually know where things are now. And I only did the left half of the closet, so the right half of the closet will still need to be done, but it's looking a lot better already. So thank you guys so much for watching, and if you're not already and you'd like to be, make sure to subscribe for more videos just like this one, and make sure to follow me on Instagram. It is @WellerMegs, and shout out to all of these people who did my challenge that I put on the community tab. Today's challenge is to leave a comment on my Perler bead shelf video telling me your favorite color, and I'll be picking 3 comments to give a shout out to in my next video. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!